Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, standing by to talk currency. Scott, happy Monday. Thanks for sharing part of your Monday morning with us here on the TD Ameritrade Network. Let's begin with the dollar bid amidst all the concerns tied to the coronavirus and right back to a key trend line that formed off that double top around 99.30 from last fall. Talk to us about what you're seeing in terms of the recent bid.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trending above that 200-day moving average now for the first time since early December here. There is a bid behind it here. I think we're going to see continued momentum. I don't know really how far up. I don't think we're going to get back up to those highs that we saw. But right now, the momentum is definitely to the upside.
Yeah, and you know, Scott, when I see this, it makes me think of how this is such a clear safety flight to safety kind of play here, because you actually have rates which have been coming off the last couple weeks, back down to the 1.6 level for the TNX, but yet sticking with the pattern that we saw throughout last year, the dollar and rates just seem to be absolutely disconnected.
No doubt about it. We talked about that so much, and then we saw them really converge back to, a bit of normalcy over the last few months, but now, really more on a risk-off safety type of trade. That's what you're seeing behind the rally here in the dollar.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch this because, again, we've seen, when this kind of happens, when this safe haven type play comes in, it's interesting because all the other currencies get a little bit out of whack as well. Let's talk first and foremost about the yen. They've been benefiting from this. Currently, trading in the yen. They're up on the day by about 0.25%, but right back to that 92 handle. Scott, also another product you'd expect to see bid amidst some of the uncertainty and concerns tied to the coronavirus.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it had been up as much as 1% today. So big time safety trade here. And then, on the flip side of that, Ben, you can look at a couple of the currencies that are really, almost next door, let's say, to China and the yuan, the Aussie dollar, the New Zealand dollar, which are really getting hit on this type of safety trade that we're looking in the dollar and the yen.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those currencies next, the 6A and the 6N. I'm glad you brought that into this discussion because, Scott, I remember back when all the concerns tied to U.S.-China trade talks and uncertainty about China's demand amidst tariff concerns came into play. Well, we saw those currencies, the 6A, the 6N, suffer in a big way. Now, again, a little bit of a different narrative, but ultimately the same discussion here that we're having. If there's demand concerns, if there's uncertainty tied to, travel and purchases, if the coronavirus continues to scare investors and consumers, then ultimately these are the currencies that we're going to have to look at. The Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar as well coming under pressure here. You can see how the Aussies come off as the dollar, U.S. dollar, that is, has been rallying.
Right, and like you just said, different type of scenario from when we were talking about the tariff issue. However, fundamentally the same type of move, the same type of scenario where those dollars are under big time pressure right now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch. Scott, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the euro currency because we've been talking about the impact that the coronavirus has had on some of the other currencies, but it seemed like some of the weaker than expected economic data that we saw overnight and recently is still taking its toll on the 6E, the euro currency. I wonder, what's it going to take to prompt some sort of a shift to fiscal stimulus? It's pretty clear at this point, Scott, monetary policy, negative interest rates aren't doing what they want them to.
No, we saw Christine Lagarde come in and really, kind of pound the table on the status quo here, but maybe that's because that was her first entry. That was her first announcement. The world was watching her. I think we're going to see some aggressive monetary policy in the near term here because, like you said, the Eurozone is just not moving. Negative rates are not helping anything. They really have to do something here to get things going.
Yeah, back down below that 1.11 level last week. Scott, we were just talking about the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, the impact that they feel amidst some of the coronavirus concerns. They're not alone, though, because when you take a look at the Canadian dollar, often impacted by crude oil, as it has been and continues to be inching its way lower amidst some of the demand concerns. Well, we've got the Canadian dollar, which is coming off as well. I mean, again, this is it just speaks to how widespread this ripple effect can be.
Right, no doubt. It's because of the virus, which then in turn is causing oil to just completely fall out of bed. I know your previous guest here was saying wouldn't be surprised to see West Texas down below 51 or so. That correlates directly right into what you're talking about, Ben, with the Canadian dollar.
Yeah, we're watching crude, the WTI, come off. I actually have a chart so our viewers can see how it's been weighing on the Canadian dollar basically since the beginning of the month. This is going to be something to watch. Scott, thanks for giving us part of your Monday morning and starting your week with us here on the TD Ameritrade Network for a look at currencies. That's Scott Bauer. He's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. And again, Scott, much appreciated.